Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, an all-conference Red Raider says he's running it back for another year.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And this episode brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan dropping in once again for a reaction episode as we've got news happening that, well, it's putting a smile on the face of Chris Level and probably a smile on your face out there as well if you're a Red Raider. Jacob Rodriguez makes clear his intention to be back in red and black next season, Chris. And some might have taken this for granted or thought it was kind of a foregone conclusion. But apparently there was a decision to be made.
Yeah, and like last year, we kind of touched on this a few days ago or whenever it was. It all is blurry right now on everything that's been going on. This is similar to the Taj Brooks timeline last year. I think several things happened. I do think he had a decision to make. I think that it wasn't a no-brainer. I think that Jacob's got some family considerations. We talked about his wife being a Black Hawk helicopter pilot and being moved to a different base and all those things. And it just wasn't a given. And whether it was prospects, whether it was just, man, I'm ready to just go be a husband and just kind of move on with life, whatever it was, or a combination of all the above. But I think then you have Joey McGuire. You have Sheil Wood, the new DC, and then you have a guy like Cody Campbell. And I think you have I don't know where those individuals rank, but I think they all factor in here on Jacob Rodriguez staying and remaining at Texas Tech. Because I know Jacob loves Coach McGuire and the general direction of the program, talks about him often. That is one cowboy hat wearing dude that just loves it here. I think that he probably really was curious and wanted to visit with Coach Wood, who has largely been responsible for linebackers in his past. And what's fun about Texas Tech is that if now that Jacob returns, you really don't lose anything from that room. And that has to make Coach Wood extremely pleased with being able to have a lot of experience and kind of stacked up with different levels of experience, but guys that can play and all those things. And you get them all back. And we're talking, Justin Horn is injured. He was maybe your fifth one. But you've got Dingle, you've got John Curry, who showed some flashes. Dingle certainly showed some flashes. Then you got Ben Roberts and Jacob Rodriguez, and somewhere Bryce Ramirez factors into that too. So that room, again, kind of like we talked about going into this season, is largely intact and going to be a strength of your team because you know what you've got in that room. And it's the one position on defense where you don't really need to go attack it in the portal. Everything else needs to be supplemented a bit. But I mentioned Cody's name, and I mentioned it specifically because he would be involved here at some level, and he's already acknowledged Jacob's return on the social media, which indicates to me if he's excited, he probably played a part. And I think that they're in a position to make it difficult for Jacob to consider option A, B, C, D, E, or F, whatever it may be. But no, you won't get a better bit of news from a recruiting standpoint than this right here. It's the equivalent of you figuring out a way to get Taj Brooks an extra year of eligibility. He's a sure thing. He is the heart and soul of that side of the ball. And now I tend to think he probably plays in the bowl game.
All right. First team all-conference linebacker you're getting to sign up for next year. So He just happened to have already played for you. But yeah, you're right. When you think about some of the personnel news we might get this offseason, this may be as good a news as you get this offseason as far as the roster goes.
Yeah, and Jacob may not mean to other programs what he means to you, but that's what this is about. It's like he's your guy. He understands your culture and all the things that come with this whole deal, and that's why it's important. And I'm sure that Coach Wood was anxious to, like, hey man, let me just visit with you. Let's see, because that's the thing from a player standpoint. It's not as if he's just played a ton of linebacker. We act like he's this old grizzled vet. This is a young man that came in here and transitioned in from playing quarterback at Virginia. And then don't forget, last year, he only played in 5 games? He played in 4 regular season and then the bowl game because he got hurt in the very first game. And you had a decision to make as you got to the tail end of the season. Okay, he can only play 1 more game. Do we want to put him in there at UCF, or do we want to let him play against Texas? Well, we can only pick one. So they picked UCF. You win it, you get bowl eligible, and then he played the bowl game. So he played 5 games last year. This year, if we're being honest, he didn't play his best football at the beginning of the season. He darn sure did in the middle and kept it going, and then got better and better and better. Hence the reason I think he leads the country in tackles, and he's first team all conference and all that stuff. But it wasn't just unbelievably good right out of the gate. So I bring all that up to say he's still got room to grow. And Coach Wood may say, if you give me another year and it's similar to what you look like, you're going to play your way into a draft pick. You're going to be a lot more well thought of by scouts and all those things. And that's when you start talking about some serious money. So, but I'm excited for this coexistence. Because I think Coach Wood can do a lot with your Robertses, your Rodriguezes, your Currys, your Dingles, and he's, it's not like he has to go out what he's going to do at that position, and then you hope and kind of want. No, you've got some serious talent and now experience to work with. But no, this was really good news for Texas Tech, not just in the immediate, but for next season. Because, I don't want to overstate it, but, is he not in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year coming into next year? That's not out of the realm of possibility. He's a first-team All-Big 12 guy, and he's going to be a returner. You start pairing that together, and that's kind of what you come up with that. I don't want to put too much on him, but that's potentially what you're looking at there.
Man, can't wait to find out what it looks like. It's great news and a little bit of a Christmas gift come early to hear that Jacob Rodriguez will be back for another round as a Red Raider. Chris, appreciate a little bonus time to jump in and chop this up, something worth celebrating with any Red Raider you can get a hold of here today. So reach on out and take it in, because as good of a linebacker, I think, as you had in a handful of years during this recent era, is going to saddle up for another season. So no way to feel about that other than great. And I'm sure a brand new defensive coordinator is feeling the best about it. You show up and a guy like that hanging around makes your job just a little bit easier.
Well, Chris, and real quick, the last thing I'll point out is what you just stated, is that you've got a pretty good little tradition going here with some linebackers. You think Dakota Allen, you think Jordan Brooks, who was a first rounder, who's just doing well in the league. Rico Jeffers and Colin Schooler had a pretty good little situation there, not necessarily in the pros, but you've had a pretty good little track record recently of good linebacker play, and I'm glad that Jacob will get to continue to extend it. But I don't want to overlook Roberts and Curry and Dingle and all those guys either, because they're going to be a part of this thing too.
Well, it all just gives them, more of a buffer as far as their ability to grow and not all have it on their shoulders immediately. So it's a good thing all the way around. Appreciate a little extra time, Chris, and enjoyed it as always. We'll see you for the next one.
Hope it is alive, people. It is alive.
That's right. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss any of the portal swirlings, just like this one and maybe some others still to come. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.